Thank you for joining me in this morning. I am Maribeth G. Udpao from Group 3. I'm here today to discuss about climate change. Climate change is a result from gases in the atmosphere trapping heat and causing the planet to warm. So from the word climate change, ito yung pagbabago ng panahon or klima. It's because of greenhouse gases na nagpapainit sa ating mundo. So kapag tumaas yung temperature ng ating planet ay may possibility na dumami yung sakit, kagaya ng dengue, diarrhea, malnutrition at iba pa. It is a critical global change and potentially one of the greatest of all threats to the environment, to the diversity, and ultimately to the quality of human life. So, ang climate change is isa ito sa pinakamalaking threats or banta sa atin is because nagdudulot ito ng sakuna. Climate change causes extreme weather patterns such as rising sea levels, floods, and droughts. So, makikita naman natin sa tatlong pictures na tumaas dito yung level ng tubig, pagbaha, at saka pagtuyot dahil sa sakuna. At maaari din itong maging sanhi ng pagkasakit o pagkamatay ng isang tao. There are some indicators of climate change. 1. Less oxygen in air. More fossil carbon in the air. 30 billion tons of carbon dioxide per year and more heat returning to the earth.
Societies around the world are still not ready when it comes to coping with climate change. The UN says too little has been done to adapt to the environmental crisis. Let's hear more from our reporter, Ms. Ruiz. More on this report.
Human activities from pollution to overpopulation are driving up the Earth's temperature and fundamentally changing the world around us. The main causes of phenomenon known as the greenhouse effect, gases at the atmosphere such as water vapor, carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide, and chlorofluorocarbons let the sun's light in, but keep some of the heat from escaping like the glass wall of the greenhouse. The more greenhouse gases in the atmosphere, the more heat gets trapped, strengthening the greenhouse effect and increasing the Earth's temperature. Human activities like the burning of fossil fuels have increased the amount of CO2 in the atmosphere by more than a third since the Industrial Revolution. Climate change has consequences for our oceans, our weather, our food sources, and our health. Ice sheets such as Greenland and Antarctica are melting. The extra water that once held in glaciers causes sea level to rise and spills out of the oceans, flooding coastal regions. Warmer temperatures also make weather more extreme. This means not only more intense major storms, floods, and heavy snowfall, but also longer and more frequent droughts. These changes in weather pose challenges. Growing crops becomes more difficult. The areas where plants and animals can live shift and water supplies are diminished. In addition to creating new agricultural challenges, climate change can directly affect people's physical health. In urban areas, the warmer atmosphere creates an environment that traps and increases the amount of smog. This is because smog contains ozone particles which increase rapidly at higher temperatures. Exposure to higher levels of smog can cause health problems such as asthma, heart disease, and lung cancer. While the rapid rate of climate change is caused by humans, humans are also the ones who can combat it. If we work to replace fossil fuels with renewable energy sources like solar and wind which don't produce greenhouse gas emissions, we might still be able to prevent some of the worst effects of climate change. And this is your reporter, Joanne Ruiz, STS News Report. Back to you, Ms. Pabalan.
Thank you, Ms. Ruiz.
First of all, what is energy? Energy is a positive physical system of work. It exists in several forms such as heat, kinetic, mechanical, light, potential, and other forms. An energy crisis or energy shortage is any significant bottleneck in the supply of energy resources to an economy, which means the demand of people is too much rather than the energy is produced. The use of energy is important to human society according to the problems in the environment. We use energy to agriculture, industry. In offices, we use energy for air conditioners, fans, light, computers, copy machines, and many more. We use fuel to run buses, trucks, trains, airplanes, ships, and many more. And thus, transportation uses a large percentage of all energy use. So, the causes of energy crisis: overconsumption, overpopulation, poor infrastructure, and unexplored renewable energy options. The overconsumption and overpopulation is kind of related situation where when we have a too much population, it requires more demand. We need more supplies or resources. So the overconsumption will hit on or join in the chat. Poor infrastructure. The reason that the poor infrastructure is also one of the causes of energy crisis is because producing energy requires equipment. Equipment needs a place. So if we were using a outdated equipment or tools to produce energy, we were inefficiently much less producing energy that people requires or the people demands. So the poor infrastructure is one of the reason and definitely cause of energy crisis. Next one is unexplored renewable energy options. We tend to think on traditional way of harnessing or producing energy such as wind and sun rays to produce some energy, and also using fossil fuel to power up our cars. When clearly we can use a water to power up our cars. In fact, there is people who are already invented a car that can power by using the water. But sadly, those people is dead because of the greed of people that scared of overthrowing their status or their position as those people were great threat on their business because of the unlimited sources of water in this world. So they act immediately and kill those people in order to monopolize the resources that we have. So I think that we can add a cause of energy crisis is monopolizations and the greed of the people.
And now, let's hear from Ms. Vidalia. What are the causes and effects of energy crisis? Ms. Vidalia.
Today, this is a situation whereby the demand for oil is higher than the amount being supplied, leading to high oil prices. The causes of energy is the escalation in oil prices triggered by sharp rise in demand. Artificial shortages created by USA and Russia decide to conserve their resources and depend on world market for their requirements. Economic and political embargoes and misuse of energy sources. So the effects of energy crisis, increased petroleum prices lead to escalation in transport costs, affects tourism. Low rate of economic growth because of over expenditure in oil importation. The price of commodities rises leading to inflation. High cost of transportation, foreign exchange, resources are almost entirely spent on oil imports, creating a deficit imbalance of trade. The demand for charcoal and wood fuel increased, leading to deforestation. Oil resources are getting depleted. For today's report, back to you, Ms. Babalan.
Thank you, Miss Medallia. And that's all for today. STS News Report.
Our next topic is all about environmental awareness. Environmental awareness is about being conscious of the world around you. Having concern for the world and the environment is what environmental awareness is all about, in living a green lifestyle in the main concern of it. As a human being, it is very much necessary for us to become aware about our environment and society, as we are the one who are responsible for taking care of it. Environmental awareness lies not only on knowing and using our natural resources, but also take into consideration the future generation. As what is stated, we must live in a green lifestyle and avoiding those things which can harm our environment. These are things to do to save the environment. 1. Plant a tree. Trees provide a broad array of benefits, from helping to clean our water, providing food and shelter, to relieving our stress and promoting jobs. Trees also help clean the air we breathe. Trees have a crucial role in removing air pollutants from the atmosphere, while at the same time releasing oxygen. Second, save energy. Energy conservation can be as simple as turning off lights or appliances when you do not need them. You can also use energy-intensive appliances less by performing household tasks manually, such as hang-drying your clothes instead of putting them into the dryer or washing dishes by hand.
5 ways to save energy or electricity at home. Cut down on the use of air conditioner. Use a fan instead. Turn off and unplug all the appliances when not in use to prevent unnecessary use of energy. waste electricity by opening the fridge for too long. During the day, try to rely on the sunlight for light rather than turning the lights on.
Third, recycle. Recycling is the process of converting waste materials into new materials and objects. The recovery of energy from waste materials is often included in this concept.
Cousin and I decided to buy in a convenience store. Before entering, we saw garbage bins with its labels. Learning to separate biodegradable waste and non-biodegradable waste is a must. Waste segregation is a simple way to help our climate change and prevent energy crisis.
Alternative energy resources. Alternative means another, a different or a substitute or a replacement for something that we used to use. Alternative energy is a form of energy we can use instead of using non-renewable fossil fuels. Alternative energy resources are made from renewable resources. So alternative energy is better to use than the energy we use that use non-renewable fossil fuels. We all know that fossil fuels are things that contribute a lot to destroy our Mother Earth. And it is one of the biggest reasons why is climate change is getting worse. Next, I would like to show you the different example of alternative energy resources. You can see some of it are or can be seen here in the Philippines. Like for example, the solar panel. Not all can afford to buy this, but it is already being used here in our country. And also the windmill that can be seen in Ilocos Sur. They use the windmill to get energy, to produce energy in their area. So to further explain those different example of energy resources, let's start on solar energy. So solar energy, energy from the sun. The solar energy came from the sun, and to get that solar energy, we can use solar panels, solar cells, or solar batteries. This kind of tools are used to get solar energies from the sun. But there are advantage and disadvantage in using this. The advantage of using solar energy is no pollution. So using solar energy cannot contribute to pollution, and we can help to prevent contributing to the pollution in our environment.
But the disadvantage of this, like I said earlier, not all can afford to buy this because this thing is is expensive. But hoping in the near future, we can say maybe it will be get cheaper and many people can afford to buy it and use alternative energy than using the energy that use non-renewable fossil fuels. Next is the wind energy. Wind energy of moving air. So they are getting energy from the wind. And example of this are the windmills and turbines. Advantage of this is also it doesn't contribute anything in the pollution. The disadvantage is noise danger to wildlife. Next, hydropower, energy of moving water. So in this kind of way, they use water from the word hydro, so it's from the water. They get energy from the water. Some for example of this are the people that use that get energy from the waterfalls. So it can be used using power plants to produce electricity. Advantage of it doesn't contribute any pollution. The disadvantage, only in area with a large river, creates reservoirs, flood nearby areas. So, kailangan talaga malapit to sa mga, may mga malalakas na yung powerful impact of pagbaksak ng tubig. Because sa ano na yun, dun makakakuha ng energy ng hydropower. Next is biomass. Material from living things is used an energy source. Uses burning woods and fermenting crops or ethanol. Advantage, reduce gasoline uses. Disadvantage, release carbon dioxide and uses and food resources. So this way of alternative energy sources can help to reduce using oil. So they are using natural resources such as trees to burn woods and fermenting crops. Next is geothermal energy, heat energy from inside Earth. Uses heat buildings, produce electricity. Disadvantage, requires location over volcanic active grounds. So, we can use this kind of alternative energy if malapit sa mga volcanoes because it uses the heat inside the earth. So, kailangan sa mga vulkan na active. So, isa pang danger dito is buhay kasi active eh. So, near ka sa danger when there is a volcanic eruption. So, that's it. I hope you learned something.
This is our time, this is our world. We're gonna pass the test, we're gonna win it all. This is our world, we've got one chance to make the grade and get the girl. Yeah, it's time to shine, this is our world. We're never giving up, we're never gonna let you down. We came to play, we're here to stay, so bring another round.
Future teacher ako at aaksyon.
Future teacher ako at magbibigay ng kaalaman.
Future teacher ako at kikilos.
Future teacher ako at makikiisa.
Future teacher ako, tutulong.
Future teacher ako at sa akin magsisimula.
Future teacher kami at mahal namin si Inang Kalikasan. Kaya ikaw, tara, sumama ka at makiisa. Mahalin natin siya.
Single ka naman, di ba? Mahalin mo na.